right, so I've got my first initial drawing for this lighthouse fixture. It might be more of like a beacon. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of this process is iterative, and this is going to look really terrible when I show you this. But I want to show you the full process of designing something like this all the way through actually building it. So this is what it looks like. So you can see here at the bottom, we've got a base. It's heavier. You've got this sort of like, that's the spotlight in there. It's going to shoot up. And then this, I know it looks a little bit like a guillotine, but it won't. And the final thing, I swear, that are these plastic mirrors, these guys, and these guys will actually like bend because they're plastic and they're not going to shatter. So they're going to bend at the top, and then they're going to like shoot out to the sides. And so this spotlight will be the thing that I showed you earlier that's synced up to the songs, and then it can shoot up at these mirrors and like reflect light out in sync with everything. So the base obviously has to be wide enough and heavy enough to support it so it doesn't like fall over. You can't have people getting hurt. But I'm feeling pretty good about this. I have like the basic plan for what it's going to look like, and then we're going to actually try to build it and figure out all the other problems that are going to come up. And Lord knows there will be problems. So it's time to head to Home Depot. All right, so I think I've got most of everything that I need. I'll take a quick second and show you guys kind of what I figured out here, because things have already changed. So this was the original design, right? That being the mirrors and that being the spotlight shining up. Now these were going to be 2x4s, but now these are going to be these extendable like paint booms, so I can make it anywhere between 8 and 24 feet. Now I need to mount these somehow onto here. Originally, I was thinking I would drill a hole in the wood and mount them in that way, but I don't actually have a drill bit that big. And I also have found it really difficult to cut straight holes into like bigger pieces of wood, at least straight enough such that when you have longer pieces coming out of it, it really looks straight. And so instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these guys here, and these are like galvanized steel mounts that will screw into the board in the bottom. And we're going to screw these into those mounts, and then a piece of PVC pipe that's bigger than that, about this long, will slide over it. The galvanized steel pipe will go through this much, and then there'll be this much left. Then the bottom of this yellow painter's pole thing will slide into that part, and that will mount it so it's sticking straight up, and then we'll do that twice. Now for the top part, I'm trying to keep this as light as possible, so I really didn't want like a bunch of heavy like metal up there. So I was looking for the smallest piece that would still fit and work and also not be like PVC pipe. So I actually found this guy. This is a metal piece that will actually slide on perfectly, just like this. See, it kind of slides in perfectly. And then there's a little set screw there that I can tighten down so it really will grip that tightly. And then this will mount to this, which will be where the mirrors kind of bend off. I also got some little brackets here to reinforce the bottom so that I can make sure everything is strongly connected to the base. Because the light gets pretty hot, I'm going to need to make a protective kind of casing for the spotlight so nobody can touch it and get burned. So I'm going to build up a little plywood wall around it, and that plywood wall has to anchor into something which has to be connected to the bigger base. And all this weight and how spread out it is going to guarantee that the top doesn't fall over. That combined with how lightweight the top is. So the bracket's going to go here to connect it to this base and to connect these larger pieces, which I'm going to need to mount the plywood onto. It's going to connect all those at once. So I'm feeling pretty good, making progress here. Right now I'm just going to go and ask and see if there's any like free wood that I can use. You don't really need a whole 6x6 that's like $40 just for these small pieces. So they actually do have scrap wood at Lowe's, which is cool if you just go and ask in the back of the wood section. But they did not have what I needed, so sad times. But they might have more later, and I might have some at home. So I'm gonna check and see what I got back there. And there's some plywood that I know I've got at home, and I don't know how much I've got, so I'm gonna check on that. And then we'll start building and see how this goes. All right, so here's what I got. We got this big piece, which is going to be what the mirror is attached to. Got some wood to reinforce, some wood for the base. I got to go back and get some more plywood because I did not have enough at the house. But then these are going to be the poles that stick up. And this is my handy dandy carpenter bee killer offer. Let's see if I can get one here. Oh yeah, woo! That took him down. Just sliced off his butt. So now I've got the top piece that these small mirrors are going to anchor into, and they're going to bend up like this. So these little pieces of wood, since this is super thin, I need to put these over here to reinforce it, and so I'm going to screw from this straight through into both of these. So these are the tops of the holes that we're going to plug in, and this is the thing I got to attach it. It slides on nicely here, but it's got this extra part, and that I really don't want to have to deal with that, so I'm just going to hack it off with a hacksaw, and change it fit nicely directly into that top board. Alright, so now we've got that off there. Slide this on, it doesn't come past, and that can be locked right into that wood. So this is that top piece here. The two poles are going to screw in here, and then there's these little set screws here that if I twist them in, it's going to lock it onto those poles. I needed to reinforce the top with this 2x4 just to make sure that these were really solid, because this piece of wood at the top is really thin, so I'm trying to keep it as lightweight as possible. So thankfully this is really most of the that I need. I don't want a whole lot of weight to be, up there 12 feet above people. So now I'm just gonna put those mirror pieces on it, and let's see how that goes here. All right, so here's what we have. So this is what it looks like, nice and compact when it moves. But these pieces will bend out here, and they'll actually both bend out. I should probably attach this. The goal is that these will both bend out like that. There we go. Yeah, kind of doing it right now. Yeah, so you can see generally what this is going to look like. It's going to essentially be like this, right? And the light shines into this and reflects off. And then these two big poles are going to go right in between. Right in there. Right? Now we've got like that. And then light just shines off, and it should be pretty cool. So, have to put together the base next. So I'm back in Lowe's, obviously. Like I said earlier, I probably was going to make another trip back to Lowe's because you never get everything on the first try, especially when you're designing something new. Also, in hilarious news, I totally took 3 of these from Lowe's, and I only paid for 2, so I totally stole one. I'm totally here putting it back because that was not on purpose. And of course, the Lowe's employee walked by right as I say that, which is just excellent. He didn't stop, so we're good. So I gotta make it heavy enough such that it doesn't fall over. The top is not that heavy, but it is about 20 pounds, the thing up top with the wood. So I've got to make sure the base is nice and heavy so it does not fall over, no matter what. So I'm gonna make it bigger and heavier. Right now the plan is to make it out of plywood. Well, that worked gloriously. I had the guy cut the wood. You can do this at Lowe's if you get a big piece of wood. So I had him cut these huge pieces of wood down to pretty much the basic sizes that I'm going to use for the project. This is also helpful because I don't think they would have fit in my car otherwise, and I'm not even sure that these will fit in the back, so we'll test that in a second. But now what I need to do is I need to get some, I need to figure out the rest of the way this whole thing is going to fit together. If I need any brackets to support, I think I'm going to be good, but I'm just going to double check that. Right, so I got everything, and this is the moment of truth. I'm going to try to fit it all in my car. Here we go, Toyota RAV4. And of course, I forgot to have all this junk in here. I'll try to spread this out. Much better. Now, all those are in there. However, this is definitely not going to fit. I'm going to try this diagonally. Well, and great news, we did actually fit it in. I just had to do a little bit of a bend to pop that stuff in there, which would not have worked with the thicker wood. So really glad I did do that. Got some great help from a guy named Kelvin, who just happened to be here and was like, oh man, I don't know if that's gonna fit. And here we are. Now everything up there is shit, but that's fine. I could drive home like this. Hopefully this will be everything that I need to finish up this lighthouse beacon thing, and then I can test it and see if it's working. So now to Starbucks. All right, so I'm starting to put the base together and realizing that the way we cut it at Home Depot, it's definitely a little bit too big. I really want it to be like 3 foot by 3 foot at the base. So, because the piece on the top is not really that heavy. And I think it's gonna be fine if we have a strong base that's 3 foot by 3 foot. So I'm gonna build that up. So I gotta cut all this wood a little bit shorter. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and then I can start putting the walls together. I gotta cut the big pieces of wood too, which would be super annoying, but whatever. All right, so now that I've got all the pieces cut to the right size, I now need to actually make sure I build the walls in such a way such that I can take it apart easy and transport it easy, because that's a huge problem if you can't transport your lights easy as an artist. And I've also got other lighting fixtures that I built that aren't like the smallest things, and so I've got to make sure all that stuff can fit in my car, and I might have to ask a friend for help with like a second car. But going through that, and I think I've got most of it figured out, so I'm going to start building it up, and this whole thing's going to be 3 by 3 and then about 4 feet tall. And yeah, back to the time lapse. All right, so it's quite late now, way longer than I thought, but I finally finished the base. And yes, it is just a giant cube right now, but I've got a hole in the center here where the spotlight is going to come through. The spotlight is actually going to hang on this piece of wood. This is a unique piece of plywood, and this whole structure is very rigid. I'm pretty sure I know how I'm going to take this apart to carry it to places, but I'm not sure how long these screws are going to hold as a way to take it apart and put it back together where it's still strong each time. So I might look into some sort of like angle bracket and bolting solution instead of doing it just with screws, which is just kind of for the prototype and maybe for this first show, so I don't spend too much time kind of building this out. But yeah, hole in here next, and then we put the spotlight in, and then we've also got this one other piece, assuming I still have it. Oh, it's probably in the bottom of this thing, isn't it? Yeah, so it goes to the bottom and it allows the poles to anchor into it. So I've got to load that those poles to go through. They're separate from the spotlight, and that will provide extra stability for those poles going up to make sure that the structure is nice and rigid the whole way up. So now that we've got this whole cube thing built for the foundation, now it's time to mount the spotlight. So this is it, but it's going to be vertical, and this part gets really hot, so it's going to be inside this huge thing. So this whole thing is going to be basically like this, but with this bottom part kind of mounted inside of this wood piece. It's going to shoot up, and those poles will go all the way up there. Got a little mirror piece, but it's time to figure out exactly how big this hole should be to make sure this thing fits in there and not only doesn't go anywhere, but stays straight. And I got to be able to mount this really well. So I might use some of these holes here in the metal. Maybe there'll be like another wood piece just kind of on the wood here that this mounts into. That's probably what I'll do, just to make sure it stays really nice and solid. All right, so I got the hole done, and I got this thing in it, which is very exciting. Now I just want to make sure it's mounted cleanly on here. That's what this thing is gonna do. So pop this guy right here, and nail him or screw him down in here, and then more screws can go through these holes here and lock them in. This is one of the things I think is most interesting about making stuff like this. There's just things that come up at the moment that you didn't really plan for. That are really, you know how it's gonna lock it down, and then realize this little handle thing will probably be great for that. This piece of wood is something I just had mine run out. So it's great. One of the best parts about designing stuff. This right here is my bag of shit. It's got just tons and tons of like washers and screws and bolts and stuff. You can see some of what's here. This is where I go to get all the hardware that I don't want to go to the store for. And I've had a lot of this since I was like 18 or younger. So this stuff's been around, followed me through some good years. And I found the perfect stuff I needed for it. So I'm gonna mount this thing up. All right, so I just finished cutting the holes on either side. I think they're the right size. I slipped the PVC pipe pieces. I don't know if you can see in there, but I slipped those onto the piece that I made earlier. It has those metal mounts, and the PVC pipe is big enough for those yellow poles to kind of slide into. So that's how they're gonna mount, and then they'll be reinforced by going through that. So let's see if these guys fit. Look at that, there we go. One. And two, here we go. Oh, thank God. This is looking totally sick. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. It's exactly what I was imagining. Now these go way higher. So these are currently only at about a little bit over 8 feet, maybe like 8.5, maybe 9 feet. These go up to 24 feet. So this can put this light like really high. These mirrors really high, and so this beam is like a light cannon. So that thing can go like crazy in terms of like power. So as long as we have enough haze to catch that light, it can really like shoot out, which is going to be absolutely killer. Now I just got to drill a hole for power and hop on the mirror fixture up top, which is going to be interesting. So I'm going to have to figure out how exactly to put this on like all together, because I can't just climb up there and put it on right now, right? So that's going to be interesting, but I'll figure it out. All right, now we're going to try to turn this on. Of course, I didn't really think about the fact I gotta plug this in, and I cannot get to it at all with this current configuration, so I have to flip this over. It's a little risky. It'll all stay locked in, so. At least about it. Over there. It's one. Power. So it's kind of hard to see. You can see there is a beam going straight up. Now if we had haze, you'd see this beam really well. You can see there it is going straight up. now to get those mirrors. And of course, while trying to put the mirror fixture up, I broke one of the plastic mirrors, bending it. It was overlapping with one of the other mirrors. I didn't notice as I pulled it up and it just snapped. Thankfully, I did order extras, although I was planning on using them for something else. So I'm gonna have to probably try to order some more and see if they get here in time, but trying to fix that. And now that we're here, I do actually think the best way to do this is gonna be to climb on top of that thing because it is very sturdy. So I'm really not worried about this thing falling apart. It is now done. There it is. It's incredibly tall and it can go so much higher. But yeah, it's done. It's up there. You can see the mirrors up top. Those are gonna reflect the light from the spotlight. Now we just gotta turn on. All right, well, it's clearly working because it's shining. Oh my God, it's shining light right in her window. I'm gonna have to turn that off right away. It's shining a bunch of light right over there. Holy shit, that is working well. Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, I gotta turn this off. All right, well, this has been quite the day, quite the long day, I might add. I started earlier today around 10 a.m. and it's now 11 p.m. I told my fiance that I would finish this in like 8 hours, and it's definitely way more than that because I also worked on it yesterday. But yeah, there it is. It's working so well. It's literally sending light straight in one direction and the other, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. And it can go way higher than that. That's not even like it's got a whole separate extender that we haven't even tapped in yet, and that one's not even done. It's like this could work at festivals and shit like that. It's like a crazy weird light fixture. And there's no way this thing is falling over. This thing is so steady. This is amazing. I am so happy with this. So now I gotta figure out how to make this super easy to transport, make sure this box is easy to take apart. And then I'm gonna have to paint it. And and I gotta test it like in the spot phase and see what it looks like. Cause maybe the light is actually reflecting in like weird ways, but it looked really good. So here's hoping. Thank you for watching this. If you're still here, you are amazing. And this is gonna be so cool, especially once it's painted. Man, it's gonna be, it's synced up. I cannot wait. So I'm on my way to test these mirror fixtures, specifically the mirror tower, but also the smaller fixtures that'll be reflecting light off of each other. And it is all fit in my car, which I am very, very happy about. And I think I'm gonna be able to fit my keyboard and stands and camera gear. And there's one other thing I gotta fit in here as well. There's a second spotlight that I have, but I don't have a bulb yet for. But I've got enough space for it. I just won't have enough space to add the other bigger tower or pillars, light pillars with like 5 different lights that are the backlight that I use for my set. So I'm gonna have to bring on a friend to bring those. Eventually, I just gotta get a big like van for this stuff. That'll definitely be the solution, especially as I start building more and more set stuff. And of course, I forgot a spoon for my ramen while driving. So I'm just gonna have to slurp this like this. Not gonna lie, I'm really surprised that worked. Oh my God, guys, this is totally working. Check this out. All right, so now that we have that light fixture working really well, we're gonna test the other mirror fixtures, which are these guys. These are about 8 feet tall, a little bit over, and it's a big plastic mirror. We're gonna shoot a spotlight from the stage. It's gonna reflect onto the first one, and then it's gonna go over to a second one over there. Oh, there it is. And then this one will either reflect back to the stage, or we could rotate it and have it reflect out to the crowd, which would be really awesome, however we do it. So we're gonna test that next. Here we go. See these mirrors. And here we have the mirror fixtures. So there's that initial spotlight back there. It's shooting over to this mirror, and that one is shooting over to this guy. And then it is also reflecting over here, although it's not getting as much because the light does dissipate from there, kind of becomes less beam-like, and then comes over here, and so we're losing light each time. So what we might do is have 2 spotlights, if I can make that work. I don't know if I'll get that for this show, but even just having one of these will be dope. But having a second spotlight go off the second mirror here will be really dope. But yeah, I think it's pretty awesome how this is working. You can really see that they're all reflecting the light. Shoots out from that one spotlight, comes to this one, reflects off one more time. And we're thinking we might actually add like another spotlight here too, to really get a lot more light on this one and kind of strengthen up the beams, because they do sort of dissipate. So it's a lot stronger here, gets reflected, kind of widens and spreads out. And so there's not as much light that reflects off of this one. Now let's try some colors. All right, and here we've got some colors going on. You can see it reflecting off all 3 lights. More testing. A lot of this is about your positioning too. So back there you can really see everything. But up here you can also see this third reflection. It's just a lot more kind of dim. So this is interesting to take this into account too.